How smart are the smart shape healers? So BioHorizons recently came out with an abutment that they call the Smart Shape Healer. And the idea behind it is that this abutment is a stock abutment that is site specific. So they have different ones for different locations in the mouth. You would use it after an extraction. So it would be typically used with an immediate. And the idea is that this abutment is contoured to look like the emergence profile, very similar to the emergence profile of your final prostheses. So pretty smart, right? But it gets even better because what they did is they put hieroglyphic markings on the top of the abutment. So after it is healed, the abutment itself is your scan body. So as a clinician, 3 months after surgery, the patient comes in, you take an optical scan and they're done. The patient goes home and you can move to pros and build your pros from that. Then when they come back after the prosthetic has been fabricated, the delivery is really, really easy for you as the clinician, whoever's doing the pros work, because you're going to unscrew this Smart Shape Healer, which has a designed emergence profile that's very close to what the final product should be. And then you're going to screw in something that almost perfectly matches that. So your prostheses that you screw in is going to be almost a perfect fit. And so that makes that delivery process really, really easy. So these things make a lot of sense, okay? And they are very smart, all right? Now, the issue is this. The person who's placing the Smart Shape Healer has one very, very important check step that they need to do. And if they don't do this, this is where it gets stupid, okay? Follow me here. When you take out a sick tooth, let's say you're taking out a sick first molar on the lower. Once you're done with that, and say you did it atraumatically, so you got on it with some 23, some cow horns, some 23s, and you pump, and it just pops right out of the mouth, right? It's beautiful. You have parallel roots, so they pops right out, okay? So you didn't have to raise a flap or anything. And you're done. And now you're going to use a type 4 guide. You're going to place your implant. You're going to gap graft around it. And now you want to use your Smart Shape Healer. And you put your Smart Shape Healer down there and it helps the socket seals in all of the bone particles. It looks really good. The healing by secondary intent is very small because the metal that you're putting in place is very big. But here's the check step. How much keratinized gingiva do I have on the buccal? Okay? Think about this. Lower first molar on a sick tooth. Let's say the patient's 50 years old with a little bit of recession. You know, if you've been practicing for a while, that there's not a lot of KG there, keratinized gingiva there. If there's like 1 millimeter there, and then you butt up against that, the Smart Shape Healer with titanium, you will not grow any keratinized gingiva. You can't occupy that space because there's titanium there. The abutment is in the way. So now, 3 months later, when it's time to do the pros, there's no KG there. You take the scan, the crown comes back, and you put the crown in, easy delivery. There's no KG on the buccal. There's no keratinized gingiva on the buccal. Can this lead to problems for your patient? Yes. If there's no keratinized gingiva on the buccal, it's possible that they're going to get food impacted down there quite readily. And that is painful, and it is something they will be coming back for over and over again, and they're going to want a solution. Now, the solution at this point is what? It's a connective tissue graft, right? You're going to have to go harvest some tissue from the palate and transfer it or buy it as alloderm and get it out of a bag. But you're going to have to do an additional surgical procedure to solve the problem. Versus what? Let's back up. At the time of surgery, everything's the same. Same patient, same situation. You take the tooth out atraumatically, you didn't flap anything, and you take a look, and you notice there's no KG on the buccal. What you're going to do is you're going to place the implant with a type 4 guide, you're going to gap graft, and you're going to place a regular healing abutment, or maybe even a small healing abutment. All right? And then what happens? Well, because the diameter of your healing abutment is small, you grow an abundance of keratinized gingiva, 3, 4, 5, 6 millimeters from the free gingival margin up 3, 4, 5, 6 millimeters from the mucogingival junction up to the buccal edge of your abutment. That area all becomes keratinized gingiva, which then facilitates what at the prosthodontic delivery process? It facilitates the opportunity to use the AGD technique, the apical gingival displacement technique. So what that means is that you are going to have to get the patient numb at delivery. Why? Well, your stock abutment, let's just say your stock abutment that's sticking through the gums has got parallel walls. And your emergence profile on your crown that you're going to put in is going to be heart-shaped. So it's going to be bigger than the hole that's currently in the soft tissue, right? So in order to do that without it hurting the patient, you've got to get them numb. So you give them a little infiltration and you get them numb. And then you do one simple thing. You just take a 15 blade and you make a light crestal incision down to bone, and you do not elevate. You do not need to elevate at all. You take your screw retained prostheses, you put it in the hole, you tighten it down, and as you do, because you cut the circumferential fibers, the tissue blanches and pushes down apically into the vestibule and pushes into the papilla. And you get a lovely solution with ample keratinized gingiva around the buccal. So, in summary, the smart shape healers are amazing, but the one thing that requires human interaction for this solution is that you must assess the volume of keratinized gingiva initially. And if you are missing that, then you may want to consider using a small or regular abutment rather than a large metal abutment like the smart shape healer or even the wide implants, even the wide regular healing abutments. Just don't use those because they occupy too much space, which reduces the amount of keratinized gingiva that you're going to grow, which is useful for longevity on your dental implants. This has been another episode of Implants Made Simple. I'm Dr. Robert Stanley. Follow for more.